Dan, I'm going to compare your swing to Grant Waite, who was a tour player during the 90s and considered having one of the best swings in golf. I'm going to begin at the impact position because it's the most important. Everything the golf ball does is a direct response to the laws of physics and motion that exist at the moment of impact. How far it goes, how high it goes, how much it curves is responding to those laws of physics. The club's position at impact is what determines those laws of physics. And your body's position at impact is what determines the club's position. And everything you do prior to impact has the sole purpose of helping you arrive at a fundamentally sound impact position. Grant has about 85% of his weight on his left foot at the moment of impact. In fact, that's the average for the tour players, is they have 85% of the weight on their front foot at the moment of impact. And you certainly have more weight on your left side than the right side, but not quite as much as I would like it to be. What's critical in hitting a golf ball well is to make sure we hit the golf ball first, followed by the ground. This photo illustrates how the pros hit the ball first and the ground second. There was a series of balls on the white line, and this pro hit each one of them, taking their divot after the white line. That requires putting the low point of your swing arc in front of the golf ball. To accomplish this, the pros do a couple of things, but the most important thing that they do is get their weight on top of their left foot. The low point of your swing arc tends to follow wherever your center mass is. You can see the red line off of Grant's left foot is passing right through his belt buckle. You have more weight on your left side than your right. You can see how your left hip is going past that red line. So that's very good. But I would like it to go a little bit further so that you can have a better attack angle down into the golf ball. The second thing the pros do in order to make sure that they hit the ball first and are hitting down into the golf ball is they get their hands in front of the golf ball at impact as well. They create what we call a shaft lean. You can see how the shaft of Grant's club is tilted or leaning towards the target. So his attack angle has a downward descending blow to the golf ball. His hands are right on top of his foot at impact. Your hands are almost right on top of the golf ball. So this is going to cause your attack angle to come in a little bit shallower, a little bit flatter. And this will make it easier to hit behind the golf ball or even hit it thin. You'll have a combination of fat shots and thin shots. Now let's look at some of the positions prior to impact that might be preventing you from arriving with a little bit more weight on your impact position and your hands a little bit more forward. This is the one position at the setup. You'll notice that Grant has flared his toes out. On left and right feet are flared out a little bit, and yours are pretty square to the target line. There is an important reason to do that, and one of the changes I'd like to have you do as well is to turn those feet out just a little bit. Maybe you don't need to do it as much as Grant has right there, but I want you to start taking a little bit of time in your setup and remind yourself to flare those feet before each swing. That will help you have a better hip turn, and it will also facilitate a shift to the left side. When your left foot is square like that, your brain doesn't really want to drive aggressively into the left side because it would roll over the side of the foot, and it is not very comfortable with that. It would rather roll more to the front of the foot. When you set up, we want to have a little bit more weight on your left side, almost like a little mini impact position. You can see how Grant has about 55% of his weight on his left foot when he begins the start of the swing. His head is closer to his left foot than his right foot, and you have your head closer to your back foot than your front foot. So you already, with your weight shift, have put that low point too far back in your stance, and we need to have that low point of your swing arc in more toward the left side instead of the right side. Really like your arm position. At the setup, you have that shaft lean. That's excellent. You've got your hands in front of the golf ball at the setup, just like Grant does. So in terms of your left arm and hand position, you already have created that shaft lean. You're ready to hit down into it. It is important to note that your ball position is quite a bit further back in your stance than Grant is. I would probably want to slowly start promoting a little bit more forward position here. Now, you don't need to go all the way up to where Grant is right now, but I would start experimenting a little bit with putting that ball closer to the middle of your stance. So I would like you to have that ball a little bit more forward so that you will move towards the ball, up to the ball, and not past the ball. Here we are in the 3 position. This is when the left arm is parallel to the ground. And we're going to look at how you have moved even further to the right. And so now you've moved your low point severely behind the golf ball now. And Grant, you'll notice that Grant has maintained his weight on his left side. His left side is kind of the axis of his golf swing. So he's rotating around his left side. The swing that you're working on is what we call a stable axis swing pattern. And it is an emerging swing that you're starting to see more and more on tour. It's a little bit of a change of the swing of 10 and 15 years ago. Justin Rose, Hunter Mahan, Jamie Lovemark, Charlie Wee. There are a ton of players. Sean O'Hare's another one. And then, of course, the most famous person who's now adopted this swing is Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods has a left side stable axis golf swing now. And he has a more powerful swing, a more consistent swing. He's now, for this year, he is ranked number 1 in total driving, something he's never done in his entire career. He's hitting the ball further and more consistently because he's simplified his golf swing. He's staying on that left side. And so that's really the swing of the future, is a stable axis swing pattern, and that's what you're working on. But it requires you to learn how to stay on that left side when you take the club back. It's almost like a field goal kicker, planting that left leg and then driving through it, through the golf ball. In our first session, we began the work of rebuilding your golf swing. The first thing we did was we adjusted your setup a little bit, where you were a little bit more on top of the ball. And you can see from this, on the left is your swing before we began adjusting your swing, and on the right is after we started adjusting your swing. So you're a little bit more centered here. You have just a slight amount more weight on your left side than your right side. You've maintained that good shaft lean, so that looks very good. We move that ball a little more forward in your stance. Here we are in the 3 position, and a dramatic improvement in your swing here. On the left, you were swaying way to the right. Your head was more on top of your right foot. Your hips were way to the right. Here you can see how you have let that right knee straighten as your left knee flexes. You can see how your right hip is turning more. So that's excellent. That's really, really good there. So going forward, I want to continue to build on this. And the next time we meet, we will, touch on this again, make sure we're on track, and then we'll add the next piece on it once this is solidified. Also, you'd mentioned wanting to work a little bit more on your short game, which I think is always, every golfer needs to do as much work on their short game as they do their full swing.